I'm Erlinda Patterson, and welcome to Community Pulse. Thank you for letting us into your home today. We have a special guest for you today. With us we have Roberta Wartenberg, who is a state certified Ombudsman Coordinator Manager. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome, Erlinda. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. You know, Ombudsman, a lot of people say, what is that? What is Ombudsman?
It does sound strange to our ears. It's because it's a Swedish word. But if people would substitute the word advocate, they would get the meaning of ombudsman.
Oh, is that right? Wow. I had no idea. Someone earlier told me, what is ombudsman? What is it? I tried to explain, but I didn't realize it actually had a definition itself. It's great.
I think the word advocacy conveys to people more clearly what it is that we do. We're an advocate for people living in long-term care facilities, nursing homes, residential care facilities for the elderly.
Oh, I see.
Throughout San Bernardino County.
So, long-term care facilities. So, what happens there? How do you know that there's a need there? Do they call you, or how do people even know you exist?
That's a good question. For the most part, people become aware of our services when they have a family member that's living in a facility and things don't go right. They began to look around within the facility. Usually they do find our posters, which a law requires that they be posted in our facilities. They make the call, they talk to us and quickly find out that we're there, we're part of the County of San Bernardino, and we are the advocate then for the needs of the long-term care resident.
Oh, I see. Now, are there any laws that mandate this particular type of program?
The Older Americans Act, which gives us many of our programs here in San Bernardino County, specifically for the elderly, created the Ombudsman program and gives us definition. And the program is unique to the extent that provides services for people of all economic levels. The very poor, the middle class, even the wealthy. It doesn't matter what people's income might be, they're eligible for the Older Americans Act programs, including the Ombudsman program.
Oh, I see. So people see these posters, the families see these posters in the facilities that these patients or clients are at?
Yes, the patients themselves do call, the families call. We also receive mandated reports of abuse. So not only do families become aware of us, the residents themselves make calls, but also those that provide services for the elderly also know to report to us any incident of elder abuse that might occur in the long-term care setting.
I see. So do you have investigators that go out to check on these particular situations, or what type of people go out and do this?
The unique part about the program is that we do utilize volunteers, and volunteers are trained by the Ombudsman program. There's a 36-hour classroom training and an additional 10 hours minimum mentoring out in the field. So another unique aspect of the program is that we do utilize people who come to us, say, I want to make a difference. Many times they've had a family member living in a long-term care facility, and they know the importance of having someone who will advocate for that resident. And so we train the volunteers.
Oh, so you have special people that are trained. And after they've gone through their training, then they go out into the field.
And I love the term special people because indeed they are special people. They are people that volunteer. They dedicate a minimum of 20 hours per month to do this work and to receive continuing training. And they are very special, yes.
Yes, that's good.
Yes.
Now, is this, how many do you have? Is it all San Bernardino County that you oversee?
We do. We are responsible for responding to the needs of residents and monitoring facilities. I might mention that we go into facilities even before there's a problem. So The wonderful thing about the program is that we have the ability to actually, by our presence, being the eyes and ears of the community, to actually prevent abuse from happening. When the Ombudsman enters a long-term care skilled nursing facility, for example, everyone is aware, and generally everyone tries to do a really good job. And so
they
by
get
our
on their
very
toes.
they're on their toes, and by our very presence, we're able, hopefully, to ensure that the residents living there get better care.
Ah, I see. Now, tell me, could you share a particular incident that, of course, with no names, an incident that has really been near and dear to your heart? Could you do that for us?
I'd actually like to share two,
Yes.
and they're kind of, in their own way, contrasting. One incident was very simplistic, very unique to only one resident. We had a resident in a facility who was feeling abandoned, feeling that no one cared. The Ombudsman happened to be visiting that day, asked the resident what one thing would make his day better, and his response was, "I'd really love a peanut butter and jelly sandwich."
Oh.
And the Ombudsman was a little taken aback, because peanut butter and jelly is often a staple snack, something that's offered fairly routinely in most facilities. But this particular resident, for whatever reason, had not been offered that. So the Ombudsman quickly checked with the kitchen. They did have peanut butter and jelly on hand. The request was made that the resident would receive that, and he liked it so much he wanted to receive it on a daily basis.
Oh.
So the Ombudsman did secure that for the resident, and when the Ombudsman went back to talk with the resident, his response was, "Thank you, now I know somebody cares."
Oh,
So that peanut butter and jelly sandwich was a symbol to that man that people did care.
And that's all he needed.
That was all he needed. So the Ombudsman sometimes helps to facilitate a simple fix, something that makes a difference for one individual. And in another case that I would share with you, an Ombudsman was visiting a facility that had been licensed for a number of years, provided dementia care. The Ombudsman happened to be visiting on a cold day and was walking by one of the cottages where the residents have the ability to come and go. As the Ombudsman passed, the building itself just radiated heat. There was heat blasting out from the building. So the Ombudsman entered, found that there were some wall furnaces that were in the units. Some of them appeared to have a cage or a protection around the heater. Others did not. The Ombudsman was concerned that people with dementia don't always recognize the heater for what it was.
The danger.
And the danger. Pursued it by asking the administrator why some of the cottages appeared to have protective caging, others didn't. The response was not helpful in defining why that condition existed. Again, the Ombudsman pursued it, asked for the assistance of licensing to reevaluate the condition at the facility, and it was determined through licensing intervention that yes, indeed, there needed to be some protective barrier on those heating units to ensure the safety of the patients in the dementia unit. And I do love to share that story because many people had been in and out of those facilities, and they had been operating for a number of years, and to our knowledge, nobody was injured. How can you measure the potential benefit of preventing someone in the future from being harmed? I don't know, but in this particular case, by having the facility install those protective devices around the heater, we knew that the dementia residents living there would be better protected.
The future was protected.
Yes.
My goodness, that's a really interesting story. It kind of grabs you in right here. It really does. Now, Ombudsman has been around since how long?
The Ombudsman program actually was created about the time of President Nixon. We remember President Nixon for a lot of things, not usually the 8-point directive, but it was his legislation that created actually the regulatory agency that oversees facilities, and subsequently also the Ombudsman program evolved out of that through the Older Americans Act. Initially it was a service that was provided for residents living in skilled nursing facilities only, but the mandate was later expanded to include the residential care facilities for the elderly as well.
And that's excellent. That is excellent. Now, is there anything in particular that you would like to see different in the Ombudsman program?
Things within the state structure and actually the federal government are changing daily. I hope that as we look at programs that maximize our tax dollars, that that people would be aware of how the Ombudsman program really is the best bargain around.
Right.
Because with minimal funding, we utilize volunteers to do very important work for a population that would otherwise not be eligible or would not be receiving services from any other agency. No one does what the Ombudsman program does. And the fact that we do it with trained and certified volunteers is an incredible benefit for the taxpayer, for the residents living in the facilities, for the state and the federal government as well. So just knowing of the existence of the Ombudsman program, what a good benefit it is financially as well, just being aware of the existence of the program.
Right, and by doing things like you're doing right now.
Absolutely.
You know, this is providing the public more information about the Ombudsman program. Now, supposing we have a viewer today at home, supposing they're interested in possibly becoming a volunteer Ombudsman, what number would they call?
We would welcome their interest. Many of our volunteers that come to our program have had an experience with a family member in a facility. They want to make a difference. Perhaps they come from a health educator background, a nurse, or not, because we have many of our volunteers that come from very diverse backgrounds. They would call the 1-800-231-4024 number, indicate that they're interested in learning more about the Ombudsman program. We'd be glad to mail out a packet of information to them, and they can apply to become a volunteer.
Very good. At the end of the program, too, there will be a phone number in the credits.
Wonderful.
So that if they didn't quite get that number, they will get it.
That's wonderful. We hear from many of our volunteers that they're looking for an opportunity to make a difference. I can offer assurance that this program does that, that their investment of time and interest will definitely be rewarding.
It really sounds like it is. It sounds like it is, particularly to that poor defenseless person in a convalescent type setting who has no one else.
Absolutely. Statistically, about 75% of the populations of most of our facilities receive no visitation. So the need for the Ombudsman in those settings is great.
What are the types of things that an Ombudsman looks for when they do their little visits to these different facilities?
When an Ombudsman enters the facility, they have received training on standards of care. They are looking, using all their senses, eyes, ears, nose, for a facility where there are no odors, where the air temperature is pleasant, where it appears that residents are not waiting a long time to have their call lights answered. That's one of the most frequent complaints that we receive. That appears that the facilities are adequately staffed, that the food appears nutritious and appetizing, that there are activities, that the linens appear clean,
Mm-hmm.
things that we would want for our own parents. Does the facility offer those kinds of services that we would want for our parents?
Excellent. That is excellent. So, in essence, just the mere presence of an ombudsman assures us that it's likely that the service will be better for that particular patient.
I believe so. I believe that the majority of facilities do want to provide good care. The ombudsman is another set of eyes, ears, nose to help the facility provide that level of better care. And Erlinda, I would also want to mention to your listeners that not everyone that lives in a facility is elderly.
Mm-hmm.
We have a very diverse culturally and in terms of age population that lives in our facilities. And we even have one facility in San Bernardino County where the average population of the resident is 46 years old.
Oh my.
So I would hope that that would encourage additional interest.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So it's not just for the 70, 80, 90-year-old person. It's for the younger person that
As
could be
well.
there for rehabilitation possibly.
Absolutely, rehabilitation or chronic illness. We do respond to people of all ages, ethnicities, as long as they're living in a long-term care facility.
Do your ombudsmen have ongoing trainings as well?
We do. We have a lot of fun, I have to say. In our meetings, we get together. We have trainings on a regular basis, which there is a requirement that you receive 12 hours of additional education in order to recertify each year. But we also have a good time. We recognize that when we get together, we encourage one another, we educate one another, we share cases, stories, and just energize each other's spirit to go out and continue to do this work.
Right, right. So by having that type of environment, they share with each other
Yes.
and possibly pick up a little tool that'll make it easier
Absolutely.
for their work as well.
Absolutely. Every ombudsman case is different. It's for someone who enjoys a challenge, enjoys continuing the learning process. The Ombudsman is a wonderful program because it is always a diverse challenge, every case.
So how many, are there ombudsmen through the whole United States, or is it just?
Yes. Again, the Older Americans Act mandates that there is an ombudsman program in each state. And so the ombudsman programs from state to state do vary somewhat, but there is, yes, an ombudsman in every state.
Oh, very good. So again, the phone number
Is 1-800-231-4024.
All right. Thank you very much. Our time is
You're welcome.
already up. Unbelievable. It went by
There's so
awfully
much more to
fast.
say.
Now, is there anything you'd like to add before we do close?
It's important work that we do within the Ombudsman program, and I would just, again, encourage people who want to truly make a difference in their community to give us a call.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because the life that they may be helping may be somebody that they themselves love.
That's true.
That's so
That's
true.
true.
Thank you, Roberta.
You're welcome.
It's been great being with you here today.
Thank you. My
And,
pleasure.
again, it's a Swedish word.
Yes. Ombudsman.
Ombudsman. Ombudsman for advocate.
For advocate.
Advocate.
Yes.
All right, Community Pulse. I told you we'd have fun today. It's been really interesting here with Roberta, and hopefully at the end of the program you'll grab a pencil and you'll write that phone number down. In case you are interested in becoming an ombudsman, the office will help you. Remember, it is very important to help someone, to give of yourself. All right, until next time, I'm Erlinda Patterson, and this has been Community Pulse. Thank you.